And when you went into business for yourself at first, I'm just thinking about my audience and people out there that might be looking to start their own business. What was the kind of good and bad? Was there any lessons in the early days that you say, well, I got that wrong or I got that right? People must know this. Is there any insights there you can think of?
The insights are to always follow your heart. It's really interesting. And some people may think it's very interesting I say that about business. But what I learned through a writing class is that your unconscious really knows more than your conscious mind. So, for example, if you ask yourself a question or someone asks you a question, you will answer it based on your outer belief. But when you sit down and write about it, it'll be a totally different thing that you end up writing about. There's so much more on the inside of you. And so what I say is follow your inner gut feeling. And then, of course, look at other examples and follow the protocols that people have set up regarding those businesses by looking at market research reports and making sure that you hire very qualified people.
You've got an insight there I've never heard before. I really like that point about write about it there. I think that I want the audience to pick up on that. It's interesting. Mm-hmm. I've just written a book myself, so I can relate to what you've just said there. I think before I'd written a book, I might make a statement about what it is to be an entrepreneur, and then when I've written it down, it's much deeper. And
yes.
It's interesting. What you just said there is really interesting. I think it's really true. Mm-hmm. And I think when you're saying follow your heart, I mean, the translation probably into startup world is follow your gut, right? But interestingly enough
also, yes.
No, sorry. You were saying really as well, follow your subconscious, right? I mean, you're basically saying follow your heart, follow your subconscious, follow your gut.
Yes. And the latest research actually shows that the decision-making process happens first in the heart, then goes to your brain. So that's really very interesting research. It's just 10 years old, and it won't make it to the mainstream for another 30 probably. But there is truth to that. Your organs actually have memory cells.
Well, you're hearing it first here, folks. 30 years ahead of time. And I think everybody who's ever listened or anyone who's ever been in love will tell you that's absolutely true. I think, we make decisions with our heart and everything else follows. I know that's true for me. As someone that loves their wife very much, I think, I'd make decisions every day based on my heart. So I think that research is absolutely true. We'll wait for it to come out 30 years from now and we'll credit it to you. That's really interesting.
And it's already out there, by the way.
Oh, is it?
Yes,
really?
Yes,
so
yes.
They can actually prove that you make a decision in your heart first and then it transfers to your brain. I wonder how they prove that. A chemical release or something, isn't it?
Sensors are being used. And if you... there is an organization that is pioneering this research. It's called HeartMath.
HeartMath, okay. Wow, I feel like I want to put a link to that. HeartMath, okay, fantastic. Out of interest, do you think entrepreneurs are born or bred?
Well, I think it may be a little bit of both. How does a personality form? How do you get a driver personality versus an amiable personality? It's a little bit of both. If you're firstborn, then you are naturally leading in your family. And you just grow up this way. And also what was very interesting, I took my daughter to a seminar, a mother-daughter seminar some time ago in San Jose, California. And it was for entrepreneurs. And they said, in this room, who is an immigrant or a child of an immigrant? And nearly everyone raised their hand. And so what was really interesting to me is that the innovation actually happens from people that are not from the system in the United States. That was very, very interesting.
Again, I think that rings true with my experience. I lived in Hong Kong for 20 years. And I think in part, I went there, I could reinvent myself. I could be whoever I wanted to be. I didn't have the social structure that would make me be judged, for example, for making taking a chance on a business and failing. Whereas maybe if you in your hometown you grow up and people say, "Oh, you did a business and it failed," it's much harder, right? So the immigrant thing is really, really interesting too.